Okay, so it's a few minutes past, so I'm just going to go ahead and start with today's session. So today's really quick session is going to be on some ClaroRead tips, specifically for using ClaroRead in proofreading and in writing assignments. Just a quick introduction. My name is Laurie. I've been doing a few sessions now, and this is my last one as part of the digital skills webinars and microwebinars. I'm from the assessment centre here at Cardiff Met. So my job really is, well, the assessment centre is part of student services and employability. My job day to day is assessing students for DSA and also keeping up to date with assistive tech and how we can basically improve the learning environment for all students, not just DSA, so across Cardiff Met. So let's get into ClaroRead. So ClaroRead is a text-to-speech software that is available to all Cardiff Met students on campus. You can also access it remotely via Find a PC. There's a little link to it there on the slide. Or if you're a staff member, you would access it via remote desktop and apps anywhere. And as I said, today we are going to be looking at specifically the writing features and how it can be used for proofreading. This is because there was a session earlier this week that looked into MindView and ClaroRead in more detail, because these are the big pieces of assistive software that Cardiff Met has for all students and staff. Okay, so so the aims for today is looking at ClaroRead to proofread assignments. We're going to look at the spell checking and dictionary function and also the writing predicting function. So let's just get into it then. All right, so I'm going to open up an essay, and this is an essay that I've used in my examples so far for the last few sessions, so it should be familiar with everyone. It's one that I've just pulled off of the internet. Now, for this demonstration, we're going to assume that students have written or are very close to finishing writing their assignment, and they're just in that last stage of kind of proofreading, editing, changing bits and pieces, but no kind of drastic content changes. As I said, ClaroRead is text-to-speech software, so it's really handy for reading text aloud to you that you have typed on the screen yourself. So in that way, you can have your work read back to you, and it's really handy to use in this way. Lots of students find it really useful for this purpose. So I'm going to go ahead and open ClaroRead. And you'll see that ClaroRead is just a little toolbar that sits on your screen. Now, because this is a second screen and I'm sharing my screen, I can't actually dock it to this particular screen, but at the moment it's just floating around and I can move it however and wherever I like. You can also fix it to the top of your screen. It just doesn't work when I'm presenting in Teams for some reason. So I'm not going to try and do that. Okay, so as I said, we can use it for proofreading. So if you remember back on the Wednesday demonstration, ClaroRead can also not only read aloud text that's displayed on the screen, but it can also be used to kind of highlight information and also work in the way that an immersive reader would work. So we have these options here to increase font size if you prefer to read something in a larger font. This is really handy if you've been staring at a screen all day. Your eyes are quite tired from the strain, etc., etc. You can also change the spacing, so text width, paragraph spacing, line spacing, and also character spacing, which is really nice, again, just for that nice, easy look on your eyes. You can keep doing this, keep clicking it, and there's about, I think, 4 options within each of these, and then it kind of rotates between them. Yeah, so now we're back to the original one. So that's the font and spacing. Next we have the spell checker. So I don't believe I have any spelling mistakes in this essay, unfortunately, but if we just run it anyway. There we go. The screen pops up on my other screen. You can see here that it gives me a it's spell checking the first word that I am that my cursor is on. So worldwide. It's a bit better than the usual Microsoft Word spell checker in the sense that it gives you a definition of what that word is and also synonyms for what that word is. This is really handy if, say, for example, you have a specific learning difference, for example, like dyslexia, or if English is not your first language, this is also a really handy tool. Also, if you're just trying to work on improving your academic writing, using synonyms because we tend to write similar things, similar sentences using similar words, this therefore suggests, consequentially, moreover, furthermore, using this synonyms function and it giving you a definition of each of the synonyms as well is really handy to use. Okay, next we have the homophones feature. Again, another tool that's really handy if you are a second language speaker. Again, the English language has a lot of homophones. If you don't know what a homophone is, it's basically two words that sound the same. They could be spelt differently and of course mean different things. So when we're talking about sentence structure, using the correct word, even though it sounds the same, using the correct written form is really important because grammatically that's going to change your sentence. So again, here we have an option here. It's picked up the word there in my text, in my essay as a synonym. And it's here giving me the 3 different forms of there. And as well as that, it gives me a little picture to show me what kind it is. And then a little description and a sentence with it in. And again, we can go all the way through our assignment and it will pick up all of the homophones that it recognizes as homophones, just to check that I am using the correct one. The next option we have is the predict tool. Now, again, this is something that's really handy if you're in those final stages and you just want to maybe change some sentences around. So if I click on the prediction tool and I just drag the window onto this screen, there we go. If I just stop typing, you can see that it's picking up words for me to fill in based on what I'm typing. I'll move it down here so that you may be able to see that better. And what I can do is it has the F buttons next to the words, so I can just now press F2. And if my word isn't there, that's absolutely fine. But it's really great if you're, again, writing things in an academic manner where you may use the same turns of phrases, but you're looking for more appropriate words to use. The prediction tool is a really handy one to make use of. And also, again, we also have that was shown on Wednesday. So if you're more interested in looking at this option, but you can also save something as an audio file. So one thing that we recommend for students is for them to take time away from their assignment and from their essay before they go into that editing and proofreading phase, just to give themselves a bit of mental space between those two processes. Otherwise, you risk reading your errors and reading your sentences over and over again. So one thing that you can do is save your document as an audio file and then download it onto your phone, for example, or any other device and listen to it just another time. Listening to it as well. If you edit the voices, again, you have the option to change the speed of the reading, to change the voice and the volume, etc. It will download the audio with those settings saved as your preferences. So listening to it rather than just reading it and reading it and reading it and repeating that same sentence that you know you've already written, having it presented in a different way is going to help with that processing, that understanding, just all a little bit better. Okay, So just finally then, let's just go with the plain old text-to-speech function. So if I just click on a word or any part of the sentence, so here, and I click play, I'll make sure that you can hear my sound.
Worldwide, the majority of the human population are either bilingual or multilingual, with there being fewer monolinguals. Bilingualism is when a person is fluent in two languages, and multilingualism relates to when someone is fluent in more than two languages.
Okay, so that was just an example there of the voice. Now, one option that you can do is to choose it to have it to stop after every sentence. It did say that that was selected, but it didn't do it. I think that's because I didn't save the options beforehand. Another thing that you noticed is that this second sentence here that it was reading out from Bilingualism sounded very strange through that voice. Now that's an indicator as well that you are perhaps missing some punctuation in your sentences. Because the program has the ability to read words in context, if you don't have the punctuation in there to provide that context for the software, your sentences will start to sound even more robotic than the voice already sounds. And this means then that you perhaps need to go back and look at the sentence and perhaps add in a comma. So if I just add in a little comma here for a little break, let's now listen to that sentence again.
Bilingualism is when a person is fluent in two languages, and multilingualism relates to when someone is fluent in more than two languages.
Okay, I also noticed that actually I have the wrong word here. As it was reading aloud, that word should be fluent, and that's an example of how you can see there I have the settings so that I'll stop sharing my sound and just play it so that you can't hear it. You'll notice that I have also changed the settings so that the background of the word is grey and the text itself is purple. This just means that I can see this better now. And even then I have the option to turn my sound completely off. It will continue to read, but instead what I'm now seeing is just the highlighted sentence. And again, it's just another way to really work on that proofreading ability. All right, so that is a whistle-stop tour of the presentation. Do I have any questions about that? Nope, I don't think so. So I'm going to thank you for coming to this webinar today, and yeah, enjoy your Friday and your weekend. Thank you.